Okay, we're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to Easy Photo Scan's attempt to show you how we're going to deal with a job. So I'm going to ask, I've got our group here, if they would just take a look. This is a job that came in to us the other day, and we're in the process of working through it. And what we ran into was this. And what this is a very unique type of scrapbook photo book. Obviously you can see it has seen better days. This goes back to 1940s, and it is truly a treasure trove of information all the way through, and we'll get more into it a little bit later. So we evaluated the tools that we had. We do have a box called the shot box, but when you open that this up, it was too big to actually work within the shot box area. So we actually acquired a new tool, and we're going to play with this new tool, share with you a little bit about what we're doing, and then we'll post up some more videos as the project goes along. But we thought we'd just go ahead and go live here today. We played a little bit with it, and we're getting ready to go. This is spelled CZUR scanner, so CZUR scanner, and it's an overhead flat scanner. Now it's a little different. If you've looked at some of the other ones, what happens is the light source is here, like say on the Fujitsu one, and it scans this way, which casts a light, hand exposure. But what we found and kind of getting set up was actually the foot pedal goes great if you have it right here. So you can take a foot pedal and go from there. But one of the biggest things with any kind of book scanning device, whether something like this that runs in the $400 range or all the way up into the $10,000 and $20,000 range area, and even above that, is the lighting. And so they send you these little lights. These are LED devices that are power charged through a USB connector, and the idea is you're supposed to set them up like this, and it will help offset some of the reflective light. However, what we found in playing around with this, that lighting is really super important, and we kind of know that already from some of our other work with overhead book scanning devices, and we've used a number of them, one with arms. This we like because it has this big long extension out here. The other thing we like about it is it's 16 megapixels, so at a regular A4 size, or just about like that, we're going to get somewhere around 300 DPI, which is certainly very excellent imaging quality for this. If you get below that 16 megapixels, then the DPI starts to drop precipitously. However, as we were playing around with it, we started noticing that lighting was kind of everything in technique. So as we thought about it more, we first of all acquired, and we got these angled foam pads. These are actually for calculators. Now you can buy a much more expensive set of foam pads, and you'll invest about $200 in it. This job was a one-up job. We wanted to try this. We got the equipment, and we didn't want to invest a whole lot more. So we got these angled foam devices for your adding machine or calculator or whatever if you're an accountant. And they work just great because you can adjust them. You can drop them out a little bit this way or that way. They're not obtrusive. They're not super angled. So that works out really, really cool for us as we're working through it. And it helps to serve as a cradle. Now they have a model of this. It's many times more the amount of this unit. And it actually has a cradle, but again, that cradle, it isn't adjustable. Now you can move on up into some of the higher end products, so like a Zoichel scanner, book scanner, and they'll have an adjustable cradle, but again, you're up in the five-figure range to purchase that, and the customer wasn't going to invest in that, and we didn't want to invest in that amount for this particular job, so we're going to give this a shot and see how it goes, and I think from the preliminary stuff we've done, we're going to have some pretty good results. Now, I did want to share with you a little bit about the lighting. First of all, I'm just going to tell you right now, these lights, they're great, but not as traumatic of an impact as if you do some other things. First of all, you notice we moved into our conference room. You've seen probably in one of our other videos about our space, and it has a nice big glass window and where people could come in and that type of thing, and a door. And that light, that extraneous light, really starts to play havoc on it. Now, what I want to share with you, I'm in the live mode here. What I want to share with you is the way you can really kind of get started, and we'll do some screenshots and make this available if you can't see it on the screen a little bit later, is when you get into a room, what you've got is you've got different lighting no matter where you're at. And also, one thing you want to think about that we have found out is that if you use fluorescent lighting, the capture rate of this may actually cycle several times through, so you can get a little bit of a blurriness from the actual fluorescent lighting. So what we have found out is if we do it in the dark, we're really better off. Now there are some lights, but the first thing you'd want to do to kind of see where lighting is coming from is take something dark like this, and we're just using the manual, and you'll notice on the screen, and we'll go ahead and take a shot of it here and scan it, but you'll notice on the screen that there's some angling here of light coming in. So we know we've got light source up over in this area somewhere, blocking, or not blocking, but allowing light to flow in from this area over here. Now, if we took and used a hood, we could actually block that light out altogether. And we're going to show you some of that effects a little bit later on using the hood type of thing. And then what we've got is lighting as well here on the machine, so it has different intensities. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the lights off in the room, and we're going to show you what the scanning looks like. So go ahead and turn the lights off in the room, and as we do that, you'll notice that immediately there's nothing on the screen itself. Now we're going to turn the light on, and now we have a different lighting on it, okay? And this is from the LEDs along the side, and you can see, and we can adjust the intensity. Now, what we have decided to do is, when you look at lighting, you can also go to an incandescent lighting. So we have actually gotten one of our lamps that we use for other photography, and you can literally just bounce it off the top and give you a more consistent lighting and find that lighting spot in the room, and you can see that you can make all sorts of adjustments on there. Okay? So as we move this, you'll see it come and go, and you can make the lighting as you'd like. So the first thing you want to do is balance your lighting and make sure that you've got a good setup for your lighting. And then what we're going to do is, from that point on, I feel like I've got some pretty consistent lighting all the way around through here. We're ready to get started. The first thing we would do is we would go ahead and take the book, and you notice that already the book has some issues, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about this in scanning. The first thing that you want to do is, you can see this extra shine on here, so we can turn this down, or we may just want to have to manipulate that a little bit, and we'll do that a little bit later. However, it's this distance that we want to worry ourselves about right now, so because this is already off, we can go ahead and bring this down, and we'll have a little bit less of that. And all we have to do is hit the button. You'll see the red light on the scanner. Scan, and we're done. And we're actually going to literally do every page, page by page through this. Now some of these are attached, so as we do it, we will go ahead and we will flip over this page like so, and then when we get to the ones that are attached, we'll use our phone devices. And again, we'll use some restoration techniques to brighten this up, and there's some really quick restoration tools. So, as we're going through this process, you'll see already some of the stuff is flaking off. That's why we can't really use our other scanners with it. And you'll see the light light up. So it's pretty simple. They say that you can get a couple hundred pages through in books in just a short period of time. I'm having to handle this a lot more delicately than I normally would, but you can see as we move along through the process, and we'll continue on this way and work like so. So here this is all bent up. So we'll try to unbend it at this point, like so. And slide this down. Perfect. And then we hit the button. You'll see the light come on, and bingo, we're done. All right, now we're going to go ahead and process this through. Now this is an interesting page in as much as it's got two components. What we're going to do, we know we're shooting at about 300 dpi. This is pretty faded text, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this in two parts. And that way we'll make sure that we have it completely set. Our settings are set for a flat single page. I can tell you that if you do it as a book, you could actually cut the pages apart, and we'll show you a technique of that in a video a little bit later. But you can see it's very simple to process. Now, I've got some good lighting here. Let's take my look the way here a little bit, get the lighting. And we'll continue on like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of this job. We'll continue to make some spot videos from time to time as we go through this, but this is how we're going to work through this book. It's a treasure trove, as I said, of information as somebody was getting married through the war, and somebody in society, and here she is, the Pons girl, and her picture and some of the things about that. So we'll kind of go through this whole documentation, but you can see already that the pieces are flaking out, so that's why you want to be super careful. One last thing, you'll notice I'm not using gloves. Photos don't necessarily want your hands on them. There's lots of sebaceous glands in your hands and palms, but paper loves that kind of oil. And it helps actually in working with them. So you don't wear gloves necessarily when you're dealing with documents. Now, I guess if you're working with some very, very old documents, such as like the Declaration of Independence, you'll see people carrying them in gloves. But in these typical areas, gloves aren't necessary, just clean, dry hands, and that's what we're doing now. So we're going to actually, at this point, take a break, because I'm going to go get my Datavac duster and keep this area clean as well. So just a real quick overview. We're going through this process with a book scanner to go through this, and we'll show you the end results when we're done. We're using our leveling pads here. You could actually use a piece of museum glass if you wanted to put it out like a platen. However, if you do that, you're going to use something like TrueView museum glass. It has a reflection point of like less than 1%. That means 99-98% of that stuff transmits right through, and it's a no glare type of event. However, because of the unevenness of this book and the ephemera, which is the kind of paper or the objects that are in it, such as pressed flowers and roses, even glass wouldn't be a good thing to probably do on this particular device. Just keeping it like this is the way we're doing it. So we're going to continue on. We hope that you'll stay with us on Facebook, and we'll go through this project. We obviously are looking forward to doing the pictures as well. And this is a really cool deal. And they're going to split it all up among their siblings when they're all done. So the descendants of these folks have found this book. And again, we bought two of these so that you can see it level up the page. So we'll continue on with that. And if you have any other questions, please let us know in Facebook. We'll try to do our best to answer them as quickly as possible. And meanwhile, I'm going to keep working. So I hope that everybody has a good rest of the day. Thanks so much for dropping in for a few minutes and sharing with us what we're up to here. And we'll show you the end results as well, or at least some of the end results along the way. So you can see as I just go even through here, we can test out the lighting. We're going to go ahead with this. This is very faded. However, I feel very comfortable with that image there. And I don't know if you can get this as we're taking this along, but as we do this, we're going to raise this up. You can see this has got a little bit of an angle to it. Now I have a paper clip here, so I want to be careful when I'm unpaper clipping, but I'll go ahead and slip that out of the way. And again, and like that. And now you can see the red lights that come on, the lasers that come on to the device, or to the image, and they help to flatten the image out a little bit and to isolate it out so that you have a really good image. But you can see it's real vibrant color here. Using this, I want to make sure I'm out of the way with my lighting. Again, lighting has a lot to do with it, and you want to make sure that when you're doing this, that you pay attention to your lighting and balance your lighting out first before you actually start scanning, because just putting the device, putting an object underneath here and start scanning it isn't always going to give you the best results if you don't do a little pre-planning. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll look forward to posting up the rest of this job as we get done with it. You guys have a good day.